The key to life is just to find out who you are, and if you're kinky, that's just how you're meant to be. We found a place on the Rev Mel Show where we can all be one perverted family.
And they were not necessarily positive. It was even
there's no role models at all.
And even when it comes to even like the BDSM stuff, it's even worse. I mean, putting those two together, forget it. But so I went through pretty much in denial, and eventually got married, had 3 kids, and it was actually about 1987. 88 when I really grasped onto realizing that there was something that I was hiding. And
when you went to college, what was your major?
Biological sciences.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So you were privately cross-dressing. Was it privately? And I mean, when you got married to your wife, was she aware of it?
Yeah, that, and you know, because long before we got married, we talked about fetish and kinky and stuff like that, you know, and like I said, I was pretty much into the, you know, I had myself convinced actually it was just a cross-dressing fetish, and it was, so we were fine with it, but I think, well, when we split, we originally split up in '89, okay, and I don't think it was really because of this. It was a couple of other aspects of things. I was very heavily involved in the music business. I was promoting shows at the Whiskey and the Roxy, Troubadour, on the Sunset Strip, and
so you got to meet some of the big wigs.
Oh yeah, I booked Guns N' Roses and bands like that. But the
she smiles.
But the I was also, before I got into BDSM as a full time and stuff, I was in the corporate world as a director of operations for a $3 billion corporation. So during the days I was busy with my corporate job, and at night I was on managing bands and promoting on the Strip.
Oh, you must have been tired.
Yeah.
Because those are late nights.
Yeah.
And
I've always been the type of person that goes to bed late and gets up. You know, I was getting up early because I had to. I don't like mornings.
Yeah.
But it was so that I think put the stress on the relationship, as far as I seemed to always be busy, and it wasn't really until after we split up and I decided that I needed to get some therapy that I realized why I was keeping so busy, and that was, I think, you know, because I didn't really want to face things about what I was, and I learned in therapy that I'd basically been living my life for other people. I was living my life. I was trying to be the person other people wanted me to be rather than who I was, because I was afraid of not being accepted.
And what age were you at this moment?
Let's see, about 35.
Yeah, a lot of revelation starts at 35 to 40.
And and I had a therapist that was gay, so and he had told me before we even started working together that he wasn't really familiar with transgender, but he was familiar with, you know, coming out and some of those kind of issues. And so we talked, and when I finally did decide to transition and publicly fully do it, it was basically because of a situation I put some friends in. I was my male world and my female world were kind of beginning to get closer, and I was at a gig one night, and a very close friend of mine that was a dom I was working with had mentioned to somebody, you know, as Cyan, and they were like, who? And she was like, oh my God. So she came to me the next day and she goes, I hope I didn't out you or do this stuff. And I started thinking about it. I felt, you know, it's getting to the point now that I'm burdening my friends with my secret, and it's not fair to them.
Yeah.
So that's when I decided to totally transition. I contacted all the record companies and everything, told them, and all my friends, and I was really expecting the worst, and it was just the opposite. I mean, I got letters from all the record companies of support. My friends, you know, sat down with me and said, you know, we're your friend because of who you are, not what you look like. You know, and inside you're going to be the same. So, and it actually strengthened the friendship with them. They respected me for being honest with them and stuff. And I was separated at the time, and where my ex and my kids were up north. And back in 96, 95, I got a call that my my daughter and my youngest son wanted to come down and spend spring break. And I was like, oh my God, what do I do now? Because I can't go back, and I don't want to say no because I don't want them thinking I don't want them there.
Yeah.
So I wrote this letter, and put it in the mail, explaining about my transition. I was expecting, to get this word back about, oh, you're, this is unacceptable. You're not going to see the kids or whatever. And I get this call, and she says, I got your letter, and I'm really happy for you. I'm surprised it's taken this long. I thought you were going to do this 10 years ago. So I was like, wow.
Well, I'm going to cry.
So I said, well, how's everything with the kids? And she goes, oh, they're fine. When I told them, they said they already knew. And,
so you weren't fooling anybody?
No, I felt like I was the last one to know.
So your children are okay with it? Because that was going to be my next question.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like we're on the same page. And this is really, really important because, we do have to be ourselves. And so many of us do live our lives for other people. And we stop doing things because of other people. So.
And when you're doing that, you're not really being you. So you're really not giving that other person a chance to know you. You're giving them, you're putting out something of a false image, and they end up liking a false image. So when they find out who you really are, it's different than what it was. So if you can be kind of open and out front with it, and also, I was brought up with believing a lot in karma, and believing that about treating people right, and what goes around comes around and stuff. So, I think that's my karma.
Yeah.
I look at it as a lot of people in my situation go through, and they lose their family and their friends.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of dealing with a double, because I'm not only dealing with the gender issue, but I'm a pro-dom and a kinky and things like that. So to have my kids accepting of that and everything has just been great.
Wow. We're going to come back because it's time to take a break, and we're going to talk more about her being a pro-dom. We're going to talk more about the first time you went out in public as Mistress Cyan. So we'll be right back. You've been watching the Rev Mel Show on TSRnetwork.com, where real people talk about real sex with real kinky people. We'll be right back.